Hard hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to puff him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Oh, you know it's Amit. You know it's Amit when the music.
He's back. Amit, damn it. Welcome back.
Amit, damn it. Amit, damn it. We're going to get Jimmy on too. We're going to get Noah and Bobby coming in from Madison Square Garden, taking in a really fun, entertaining, suspenseful, entertaining night of basketball. There's a lot to talk about, good and bad, but certainly, we'll start off with what we all saw. 59. Celtics improved to 59-20. They lock in the 2 seed. The Cleveland. This was a foregone conclusion, but the Cavaliers win tonight. They're the 1. Celtics are the 2. Knicks are still the 3, but the Pacers are knocking on the door. If you fall to 4, your coach gets fired. Those are the rules. So the Knicks have to watch out there. If they drop to 4, Tibbs is going to get whacked before the playoffs.
That's the trend.
That's how it goes. That's how you fall to 4, it's over.
And John,
yeah.
in the NBA, it's a copycat league. So
yeah.
Gosh.
That's it. So that's what we've got. We'll definitely get into all of that. We're going to talk about Jaylen Brown. And I want to talk less about Jaylen Brown, and I can't.
We don't have a choice.
I have no choice. I'm now forced to talk more about Jaylen Brown, and I don't want to. I want it to go away. I want to wake up one day and have it not be what it is right now that I'm seeing. But it is what it is. Before we get started, we'll let you know, episode brought to you by PrizePicks, largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS. Get 50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks. Get 50 instantly when you play 5. PrizePicks, run your game. And, of course, Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, and you're going to need this as the playoffs approach. Game Time is going to be your best pal. Download that app. Create an account. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It is game time. Game time. It is also hard hat time. Jimmy Toscano.
Let's go. Let's go. You guys, who's Peter? Who's that guy Peter who said no Jimmy? Come on, man. I'm looking for the hard hat. I'm getting my hard hats ready. I got multiple hard hats floating around this place. And it's a good time to say, Sherrod and John, that keep your eyes open for the merch store. We've got some things coming up. We've got some things hitting the merch store soon. And I will say this, though. If you are looking for a hard hat for the playoffs, now's the time to order it. Now's the time to order it. You want to get it shipped to you in time for the playoffs. This is Jimmy, hard hat season, man.
Jimmy, I waited 10 minutes for you to start the show to come in for a merch plug off the top. Is that what we did?
People were calling for the hard hats. This is the last hard hat game of the regular season, so you're not going to see this for another couple.
What you need to do is you need to sell headphones that extend high enough to go over the hard hat.
I know. I got them around the hat here.
I'm going to throw out that's
kind of hear you still.
You look perfect. I'm going to throw out a fun stat. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's an opportunity to get a super chat on. Eric Polanco, with the super chat. Thank you, Eric. Says the Celtics are now 53-3 when Drew Holiday scores 14 points or more. I don't know if this is true, but I love it, and I'm gonna bank on it. I think it's true. I think it's true. I will say, any of you out there supporting us through super chat donations, we got to send Bobby on the road. We've got kids to feed. Yeah, we got to pay for. We got to get Bobby in a better hotel than we had him stay in Dallas last time. That was pretty bad. So we need upgrades, folks. We need upgrades. Okay. Any donations here go to the CLNS Travel Fund as we head on the road to cover the Celtics in the playoffs, and it looks like
where they heading?
Could be headed to New York. We'll see. Orlando's looking good for that 7 spot. We'll see.
Mickey ears, Bobby. We get him in the Mickey Mouse ears, maybe.
We'll get Bobby. We'll get him out there. So let's start with the fun stuff. It was a fun game. Celtics came out, did not look great to start, but they kept themselves in it with 3-point shooting, particularly Porzingis, who was hitting bombs all night. He comes up with 8 threes on the night, so he was spectacular. Then you had a lot of just Tatum hitting miracle shots in this one, some really tough contested shots. I'll say this. This was a Knicks team that's closer to full and closer to real, and also closer to make you realize that they can be a pain in the ass. I think there's a lot of people flexing. Oh, they swept them 4-0. They're a joke. This felt closer to the type of matchups that you would have against this team. They were tough. The defense was legit. Cat was a problem all night long. Their physicality, I wouldn't say played some of the bench guys off the court, but made them less effective. Cornette had to really fight for it, and he couldn't impact the game on the boards as he wanted to. The Knicks dominated the glass in this one. They got a lot of second chance opportunities. Hauser and Pritchard had difficult times getting open to get their shots off. And obviously with this being a non-Jaylen Brown game where we're not going to make this the whole thing, the Celtics didn't have that clear-cut, decided, obvious edge over the Knicks the entire game where you're like, okay, they're just going to put their foot in the gas and go. It was a tough game. It was entertaining, but this is closer to what you would get. I think a lot of people have written the Knicks off as frauds, and I don't think they can beat the Celtics in a 7-game series, but this is a little closer to, I think, that what you would get if these two teams faced off in the playoffs.
But you know what, John? Here's the thing I kind of come back to with this game. You had one-legged Jaylen out
but
there.
The Knicks played great, and the Celtics did not play great. Yeah,
the Knicks, and to me that's why I'm not sure the gap is.
The Knicks played great, and the Celtics didn't. I will say that as well. Yeah.
I mean, you got one-legged Jaylen. You got Derek White missing way too many shots that he normally knocks down, especially late in the game where he's just money. Even though he finished with a damn near triple-double, 14, 9, and 8, but this was not a great Derek White game. Drew Holiday was solid, not spectacular. Tatum was the only one that really seemed.
And Noel is fair as well. Yeah,
right. And so I give the Knicks credit for playing a good game. But the Knicks still look a clear step or two behind the Celtics in terms of getting past them in a best of 7. I think if they played a best of 7, I think the Knicks would win 1, maybe 2 games. But they're still not good enough. And I will say that Cat, as you pointed out, John, was great. He did the one thing that we have been scratching our heads as to why he doesn't do, and that is when you got a 6'5" guy on you, fucking shoot over him.
Get in there.
Just take him on a block and shoot over the top of him. And don't wait for the double team. Actually look to score before the double team gets there. Cat did all the things that Knicks fans have been dying for him to do against the Celtics. And the end result was they still lost.
Yeah.
John, people call them frauds for a reason. It's because they don't beat good teams. And what happened tonight? They didn't beat the good team. So, yeah, it was good to see the Knicks with a pulse. And they are going to be a tough, physical, hard-nosed team. I think they beat themselves up out there more than anybody, but they have a label. They have the proper label that they are a bit fraudulent because when you do look at their record, it's a solid record. But when you look at the teams they've lost to, it's all the teams that are ahead of them, and it's the teams that are in their tier, if you will. So when the playoffs roll around, which they are in a couple weeks or a week, it's going to be tough for the Knicks. I think they'll get out of the first. Well, I shouldn't even say that. They're going to have a really tough first round matchup too.
Depends on who they play.
Yeah, they could have a really tough first round matchup too. So if you're playing the Bucks or the Pistons like in the first round, man, that's a dogfight right out of the gates. The Celtics are going to get a beat up opponent in round 2.
Yeah.
And listen, nobody was higher on the Knicks than I was to start the year. I had the Knicks winning the East.
You did?
I did. I had the Knicks winning the East.
He thought the Celtics were going to limp out of the gate without KP, and the Knicks would win it.
The Knicks ended up limping out, and Knicks have been playing well as of late. I mean, they played well without Brunson. What were they, like 9-6 or something without Brunson?
9-6. Yeah.
So I'm not I don't mean to. It sounds like I'm writing them off, but when I look at the Celtics and the Knicks, this was a close game tonight. But I would still take the Celtics very easily in that series based on what I've seen so far. That's all. I think when it comes down to it too, the Knicks they dropped 117 tonight, but I think offensively the Celtics should be able to dominate
Yeah,
that matchup.
they should, because the Knicks still don't get enough from OG. OG's been playing actually really well lately, but what the Celtics have seen of him, not enough offensively out of him. Bridges looks brutally bad. So you didn't get what you were getting out of the wings there. And again, no Horford obviously alters that cat matchup. It wasn't ideal. You had Tatum on him in the post sometimes. Holiday's in there and doing his best, and they don't mind that. But that's only to mix up your coverage, is not necessarily something that you want to do. And it's lineup dependent. And again, Cornette had to play up a little bit. They tried that double big lineup because they were getting beat up on the glass. Look, I can see it both ways here. I think Porzingis went bananas hitting logo threes tonight, and that's not an everyday occurrence. And Tatum, they made Tatum take this wasn't a game where Tatum got everything he wanted to. He had to fight for it. The defense was good. They always had a guy waiting on him in case he tried to get to the rim. So he had to settle on those followays and those step backs. And, OG was all over him. And Tatum, just hats off, hit a bunch of ridiculously
really
high
shots,
degree of difficulty shots.
The
all
shots
game
you
long.
love him to take.
It's again, I hate it because the next 5 games is like
So much for that. Yeah, exactly.
4 for 23. But like, I mean, he hit them all night. You just shake your head at this. So that was, he needed to, because offensively they weren't in a great rhythm. They didn't have a good flow. The Knicks definitely knocked them out of their game a bit. I think the refs let it go. There was some physicality tonight, but Celtics answered the bell. They almost blew it in the fourth quarter. And then they came back and they did what they had to do. Insanely clutch. Jason Tatum with multiple buzzer-beating shots tonight at the end of quarters, and obviously at the end of regulation there with 2.6 seconds or whatever it was to force overtime. Good win for the Celtics, and they had to do it without Brown, who he left at the 2:46 mark of the third quarter and never returned, finishing with 22 minutes on the night. I'm going to spend more time on this than all of you want. So I'm not getting into it now.
Get comfy.
We're just getting into the game. But
you can't ignore it.
But so they had to play, with a different lineup. So you're playing essentially without Horford and Brown through that fourth quarter, and they did well to hold their own. You had to go. You didn't want to extend Porzingis too far, so you have to start overtime with him on the bench as well. And Brown wasn't coming back into that game either. So them able to hold them off and to win this game, this was a good win. It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you get games that are entertaining this late in the season when teams are they're trying to put everybody in mothballs into the playoffs. But this was a good game. I mean, went to overtime. Tatum showed a clutch gene that we have not seen nearly as much as we expect. Big shots by him down the stretch. Drew Holiday was solid. I thought Drew picked his spots when he wanted to ratchet up the defense and when he just wanted to be solid. This was a really good win. And Joe Mazzulla, I mean, I give Joe some credit. I mean, he had to do some, a little more shuffling than normal, with Jaylen Brown clearly not himself, no Al Horford to lean on, your guy Luke was trying to do some good things, but not a lot. This is a good win. It's a good win.
I love this.
Blows his feeble
mind. Damn.
I love it. I'm putting feeble mind on the bracket next year. Hold on, I gotta write a note.
Speaking of bracket, we gotta get into that at some point too.
We will. We'll get into it. Get into it. Nothing more important than personal goals when you're trying to win a championship. Really good point, Mason.
Yeah, he said his goal this year was, I want to play 65 games.
Wow, what a goal.
65.
I want to own 10 sets of Legos. That's important. Fucking what a
in the
child.
90s, 65 games was a bad season to be playing.
What a child.
Feeble.
Anyway.
You simple man.
And then what? What will he want? Oh my God. Next year, 66 games. Keep building. So important. Anyway, God, I'm doing it.
All right, we're going there.
I have to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else really you want to?
No, I mean, look, there's a lot to like about the game.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, like I said, I Porzingis hitting that 40-footer was one of the coolest moments of the season. It was just, just a jaw-dropping. You just got it.
The
And
one
you
at
just,
the end?
no, he hit one earlier in the
Oh.
fourth quarter bomb, like legit half-court shot in rhythm. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, logo 3, legitimate logo 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, if you got to love what you're seeing out of Porzingis right now. Not just because of tonight, but 8 threes. Guy loves the moment. He loves the moment. He loves playing in Boston. He loves pumping up the crowd. Clearly likes playing in enemy territory tonight at MSG. No better place to play against your old team.
Yeah,
Like, he
it's
kind of
more
rises
personal
to
for him.
Yeah, but he also remember the NBA Finals last year? Like, he loves the moment, and it's a shame that he hasn't been as healthy as anyone's wanted him to be. But if this is healthy Porzingis now moving forward, knocking on wood here, that's a huge, awesome addition.
Yeah, this is it, right? Like this is your curse if you're the Celtics. You've got this super team, and they'll play throughout the season and they'll do really well. But when you get to the playoffs, one of them has to be limited, and then you have to win. Like that's their curse, right? And so last year you have to do it without Porzingis, and they did. And this year you're going to have to do it with a highly reduced Brown. I think everything over the course of the last couple of weeks, but seeing Porzingis plays like this makes you feel better, right?
Sure.
Because you need everybody else kind of clicking right now. And, you want to see Holiday, you want to see White, you want to see all of those guys. But that's the reality. I don't know how you can look at what we've seen from I'm done debating should he rest. I don't want to debate the should he rest. Should he be playing? Is he doing more damage and this and that? I don't want to argue whether he was disingenuous and lied about the 65 and whether it's important. I don't think it matters. Like, you can have your opinions on it. I have mine. It doesn't matter. It is impossible to watch him play, listen to him talk about what's going on and what he's feeling, and feel good about what he's going to give you in the playoffs. I don't know what people are hoping for here. What are you, a miracle? It's just going to get better. He's just going to, I don't know. And we said, maybe they shoot it up. Maybe the pain goes away. Maybe he comes back. Who knows what's even available to you at that point? I'm not pretending I'm a doctor. I'm not talking to Jimmy's cousin who works at the ER.
Yeah. Well, he's a janitor there.
Yeah.
He sees John, he sees everything.
I don't care about any of it. I don't care. There's too much debate on it's the 65. I don't care. What I care is the guy playing basketball now, who's going to be playing basketball in the playoffs, looks nothing. It's cosplay right now. It's a guy in a Jaylen Brown uniform, looks nothing like Jaylen Brown. This tonight was not Jaylen Brown. It's not. And so that's the problem. That's all. Yeah.
That it's not Jaylen Brown, and we have no idea if we're going to see Jaylen Brown.
And then you don't know.
That's the concern. Everything about Jaylen and what he's able to do, we saw the anti-Jaylen tonight. I mean, the 2-foot pull-up in the paint. He got that shot blocked. When have we seen Jaylen actually get that shot blocked? Never. Doesn't happen. He had, and to me, the most telling point where you knew something was wrong was when he had the ball, he drove baseline, and he just laid it up. Someone is going to leave in a body bag when Jaylen Brown takes off. That's what typically happens. And when he laid it up, that's when I knew that, you know what? This is
moments. Yeah. 4 moments that stood out. That a 2-on-1 in transition, and rather than when he caught it going up and hammering it, he tried to lob it back to somebody because he wasn't there to finish. And then the 2 times he tried to, once against OG and once against Bridges, he tried to go to the basket. OG locked him up and just basically plucked it out of the sky with one hand before he got up. And then Bridges blocked him. He's not able to get around anybody. He's not able to rise up against a competitive defender. He is completely sapped of his superpowers right now. It's really hard to watch. And again, I know he said last game, and we teased a little, like I've discovered I have a lot of skill. Like, look, he put up points in that last game, but it was also against very, very, very weak competition. It's not going to be weak in the playoffs. It's going to be really intense. Even first round, you're going to be playing teams that are hungry, that are athletic, that are coming at you. You know, Orlando, you want to scoff at it? They friggin' play defense, man. There's no free rides here. So that half-ass, not half-ass, I think he's trying, but whatever he's got in the tank right now is not enough to be able to compete. And he's shooting the ball so poorly. His first 3 of the game hit the left side of the backboard from straight away. Wasn't even close. He's, so I think forget about like the idea of like him playing. You have to almost redefine his role at this point. Like I said, start to work him in the post against smaller guards and work some matchups and do some other things because, you've got a guy who you want to get out and run with Jaylen Brown. And he's like, nope, I'm going to just kind of slow it up and get us in the half court here. And that's what Tatum does. Brown's the guy who'd get it and actually go. And you're missing that element as well. And he's saying like, yeah, I'm not going in transition. I'm not dunking. All right. Then figure out it's the other think you should leave reference, Jimmy, the talk show.
What it is you do.
Figure out what it is you do here.
Blippy or whatever his name. No, forget his name. But yeah, listen. I mean, a couple games ago against Phoenix looked a little bit like a different player.
Chunky.
That was when we were like, oh, that's just Jaylen Brown's learning to play differently. And, he's not trying to rely so much on his athleticism. He's playing a little bit slower. And he's going to learn how to play differently and be more effective that way. Sounded great. Loved hearing it. Loved to believe it. But then when you see a performance like you did tonight, where he's just scraping over that 20-minute mark, he just doesn't look himself. He's not aggressive. He's not, going to the rack. He's not playing with that extra like sort of oomph that you're used to seeing with him out there. You do start to wonder what's going on right now. Is this about 65 games? Is it not? Is he continuing to do damage to himself? I mean, could he just straight up like I think it was you who said, or Bobby said, there's nothing wrong if he rests. Like that can only help if he rests. And then there's the argument, well, if he plays, he can work on this and he can learn about this and the Celtics can learn how to play with him like this. But if he's resting, it's the best for himself right now, I think, in a long-term point of view, I guess. But it sucks watching him play like this. And yeah, this is when you start to wonder, is this going to linger into the playoffs? Either way.
Like I said, the people here who are triggered by this in the chat, I'm just curious. What are your thoughts? Is it la, 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 I don't want to hear it? Or I think he'll be fine based on nothing other than me wanting him to be fine. Everyone wants him to be fine. I don't get what people are upset about here. You're literally just looking at something with your eyes and saying, oh, that's not right. It's just plain as day. So
I want to know what Mazzulla had to say about it.
Yeah. Everyone hopes that he just shows up and he looks like himself game 1 of the playoffs, and then everyone will shut up and be like, oh, he was just playing possum. He's fine. Then the conversation's over. But if this is the guy who shows up in the playoffs, it's a problem. You can't run from it just because you're closing your eyes. Like, you guys are losing your minds here. Like, it's an issue. Porzingis being hurt last year was an issue. They overcame it, which was great. But it was when he went down, that was scary. It's like, oh, do they have enough to win it? Mm-hmm. This is bad. Like, this could be the thing that if you lose, you're going to look back and be like, well, they didn't have Jaylen. That's the story. Like, I don't know what people,
Didn't we also say earlier this year that we didn't think the Celtics were good enough to overcome a major?
And Judah, I hear this from you too. I don't know what you want. Like, there's no question. I think people overrate Jaylen Brown at his best. Doesn't mean he's not immensely valuable to the Celtics. When I'm talking about Jaylen Brown, I'm talking about comparing him to other like players. But you can't remove him and be as good. Nobody who's not a fan of a particular player, whether it was Marcus Smart or Jaylen Brown, thinks that like subtraction makes you better. It's just simply, I don't know. Like, I don't love the fit with the Jays. I wonder if it could have been worked out if they had done something else, or blah, 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 and this and that. You can't just take away a player of Jaylen Brown's caliber, whether or not I think he's a top 20, 15, 30, or 40 player, and think it's okay. It's not okay. Like, it doesn't matter how much I like Jaylen Brown as a player or where I rank him among other players. His value is enormous to the Celtics, and there's no margin for error this year. The other teams around you are better. Like, you can't. Last year, the Celtics were this much better, and people were hurt on other teams. It was an easy ride, whether people want to hear it or not. And the Celtics were that good. They were able to do it without Porzingis. I don't know that they can do it without at least an 80% Brown or a 90% Brown. I don't think you can do it with this Brown. That's the concern. Okay. It's two separate conversations, guys. It's not JB agenda. It's, oh my God, JB looks like he's really laboring out there.
What do you want him to do? Do you want him to sit then until the playoffs? You're on team sit. You always have been, kind of, I guess.
Look, Noah made the point that there's benefit to playing because, I think there's merit to learn to play through it. But when you're playing like this, I don't know what he's learning, because when you're out there and you're not, like the last game, he didn't do much on the defensive end. And when you're not pushing yourself to see, can you go full Jaylen? I don't know what he's getting out of it. If he knows I'm just going to go out there and push as far as my knee will allow me to go based on the discomfort that I'm feeling, I don't know that he needs to do that anymore this year. So personally, just to not be in pain and for peace of mind, I would sit. But if he's not hurting himself further, it doesn't really matter. That's why it's the least interesting part of the conversation. I can't believe he's doing more damage to himself right now. So I'm not super worried. I don't know.
It's
so
it's not the fact that he's playing. It's the fact that he's playing poorly. That's your concern?
That he's playing poorly, and that we don't know if he's going to be playing better. There. What I'd prefer to rest, because I don't like seeing him like this. You want to see him come back 2 weeks later and look fresh and good again. But yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, we've got Joe Mazzulla. Let's hear what he has to say about tonight's win.
The defense was scattered. It kept a certain lineup on the court, if you call it. They can talk about if they're going to foul, if they're not going to foul, and then it changes the dynamics of the play that you run. And I just think when you can keep it in a 5-on-5 setting with the lineups that you have, and there's a little bit of unpredictability, you rely on your players to make plays, and they did a great job making a play.
Sorry, is it nice to have a game like this, the final week of the season, playing against a team you might see later, to sort of get a final look at things for the...
I don't think it has anything to do with who we might see or might not see. There's so much that goes in that we have to do before that, which is win tomorrow and the next day and the day after and get there. So that part isn't, but being a part of a game where you have to execute and it tests your attention to detail. I thought our defensive attention to detail was good. I thought our offensive can use a little bit more work. So I think it left us with possessions that we know we have to get better at.
What went into Jaylen not playing fourth quarter and overtime?
We just got what we needed to get out of him as he continues to push himself and test himself, and we still got games left, and so it was just we got what we needed to get, what we needed to see, and just continue to move forward.
You talked about him kind of communicating to you guys before the game. Is that kind of a matter of that tonight?
Yeah, we're always in communication about what we need to do.
For starters, you got the full five out there tonight. They entered the game like a slight negative net rating this year. What have we seen out of them, and have they kind of gotten the reps they need to going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I've gotten plenty of reps. Again, it's more about the versatility that we provide as our entire team, and so we're able to go to a bunch of different lineups. And so, I think the more we can work our versatility, the more we can have weapons that we can go to, lineups that we can go to, coverages that we can go to, gives us the best chance to win on a nightly basis.
Is there any reason you think that they were like a little, kind of a big net negative to start the year, and they worked their way back a little bit? Is there any kind of reason you identified for why that might be?
I haven't put 1 second of thought into it.
Sorry, he shoots threes. How much pressure does that put on him?
His physicality puts a ton of pressure on the defense. And I thought his screening versus different coverages and it allows us to go to different things. It allows us to play different pick and roll combinations. It allows us to space him and have him as a spacer there. So it's just a lot. We're able to use his versatility in so many different ways.
Joe, Derek's assist numbers are way up lately. Has there been any emphasis?
Damn, Joe, killing Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, he does a little bit of it in transition, but I think it's really just his pick and roll combinations. Again, it goes back to KP's versatility and how the guys impact each other, and he can play pick and roll with a bunch of different combinations, and I think that allows him to make the right reads and find the 2-on-1. So he did it again tonight with 9, and that's just it's really a testament of how all the guys can impact each other.
And it looked like you guys were trying to close out hard on a lot of their threes, especially talent early in the game and stuff like that. When you balance that with the fact that they were attacking the offensive glass a lot, was that something you were trying to change up? Was it just something you were looking at as the playoffs come around? Like, what went into the sort of seeming decision to close out hard and then fight back?
I mean, I think it was all personnel based. I mean, I think we're just constantly reading who the personnel is and what their strengths are and how we could take away the strengths, just depending upon who it is.
Talon's had a lot of success in the post in the first half. What did you guys do to take some of that away after halftime?
Yeah, we got to guard him better. I thought his physicality, bro. He really got to. I thought in the first half he got some deep post catches. In the second half, I thought we handled that a lot better. And but a lot of it's tendencies, and a lot of it comes back to when we play offense. Are we giving him situations? I think we did a decent job on some of the tendencies, but I like how we defended him really fourth quarter and overtime. But he was really good in the first quarter.
Joe, you're big on the psychological aspect of the game. The fact that you swept the season series, they weren't able to beat you. Does that play into anything? Like, how much does that play a factor in terms of walking away, not maybe a potential playoff matchup, but just walking away knowing that they did not beat you this season?
I mean, it means nothing. If anything, it's more dangerous for us thinking, one, that we're going to get to the second round. We may not get there. You have to surrender to that it may not go the way that you want it. So there's so much that needs to happen before that. And if you don't handle what you've done against somebody else, then that could actually be more detrimental to you psychologically. And so it all depends on how we continue to get better as a team.
Peyton said you guys haven't talked at all about potentially tying the road record for most wins on the road in a single season. Now that it's one win away, how do you plan to approach it, especially on the second leg with back-to-back?
I don't know that. I don't even know anything about it. What is it?
You're one win away from tying the
okay.
15-16 Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't put any talking to it.
Haven't given it a second of thought.
Going that way.
I actually believe that. I mean, what are they going to talk about?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it goes back to whoever's available. You got to win. I mean, it's been that way, since day one, and so it doesn't matter. You have to stick to the process of winning, and again, the ownership that the guys have, whoever's playing or not playing, you have a responsibility to do what it takes to win, and so that validates the locker room, and whoever's out there, we got to be in position to win.
Yeah, you did set a franchise record for most road wins in a season. What does that say about you?
Yeah, again, it goes back to just, you don't talk about these things. I think every season is different and every team develops different.
See, that's Joe's cue. Like, get me the F out of here right now.
Guys, I fucking don't care about the road wins. I got to listen to Bobby's question.
But Joe, the road wins.
And now I've got these back to back to back to back to back. I will say this as the chat has cooled a little bit, but the comments like
the
this,
road, man.
Andrew, I love that you watch, but this cracks me up as well. Speculation is Jalen's going to be okay. Jalen looks bad is observation. Okay. You understand the distinction? It's two different things. Speculation is he'll be fine. That's
Professor Zannis.
That's speculation. Okay. We're literally watching him not be fine and talking about it because that's what we do. We see something and we talk about it. That's
and we
what
say
we're
something.
Doing.
And
then we say
something. You say something.
And then we use our feeble minds to say things.
Yeah.
We see something. We say something. Yeah.
Okay. Jesus. Enough.
Let's just do 45 minutes of everything is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when Hauser hit that 3? That was awesome.
Yeah. Porzingis had a career high tonight.
That was awesome.
That was sick. He's the best.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Jalen could play bad if he wanted to. He's like, he doesn't want to tip his pitches, like you don't want to show your stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Joe Mazzulla was asked about Jalen, and he didn't really have an answer. His answer was just like,
we got what we wanted out of it.
We just wanted to like see what we could see, and like, there's not really an answer to it. I think everyone's in the same boat. Like, yeah, he wants to play. He wants to, get to 65 games, and we hope that he doesn't injure himself more, and we hope that he's healthy for the playoffs. Like, that's everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah,
he has the same thoughts.
Exactly. Exactly. We are going to continue on, and we're going to hear more post-game commentary coming out of New York. Bobby and Noah are going to join us as well, because that's what they do, covering the Knicks game out at MSG Road. The road ends tomorrow in Orlando, and then it's home against Charlotte to close out the season. Before we get to all of that, we want to tell you briefly about our pals over at Prize Picks. And again, best place to get real money sports action. 10 million members, over 10 million, billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's all you have to do. I like to sit down. I like to check out the action here. I like to see what's what. And I like to mix and match my sports, Jimmy. That's my favorite thing here. You don't have to be stuck on one thing.
No.
You can go with pro basketball, pro hockey, pro baseball. It doesn't matter. It's all happening at the same time. Sox kid running into some problems, but we'll get into that.
Geez.
We'll give Jimmy a Sox minute. But again, we're heading into the playoffs, and Prize Picks, best place to be right now. Download that app. Use the code CLNS. Get 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, Prize Picks. Download the app, CLNS, get 50 instantly, that $5 lineup. Great promotions on the sites too. Taco Tuesday, Freaky Friday. There's free square promotions. So just stay tuned in with what Prize Picks has to offer. Run your game. Let's get back into it now. And guys, we don't have to stay on Jalen, because I know it's upsetting people. I don't know where else to go at this point with the rest of this season. How do you guys want to see them play it? They're in a back-to-back tomorrow. You had Tatum play 48 minutes. You had to stretch out Porzingis a little bit tonight. 39. He's certainly not going to play. Derek White, 43. Holiday, 37. Sadly, I have to say the freshest legs on the team right now are going to be Jaylen Brown, who's probably going to have to play tomorrow. Jalen's definitely going to play tomorrow, and then he's going to play one of the 2 against Charlotte for the 65, and that's that. Well, isn't that cool how that worked out? But that's what's going to happen probably tomorrow. You're going to get a skeleton crew. Yeah.
No, Jalen won't play tomorrow, right?
Jalen will absolutely play tomorrow. He's the most red. Well, who else are you going to play from the starter? Tatum doesn't. Tatum refuses to sit, so he'll probably play too.
Yeah, you're right, because they'll probably all sit the last game. Is that probably what's?
I think they sit. I think they sit. Like last year, they sat the final 2 almost entirely. It was straight up main Celtics.
Just screw the home fans again. Just show up for the road games and just make the home fans watch the main Red Claws. I mean the main Celtics. How do I want them to play it? I'm fine with it. I think at this point, don't play with fire, right? Don't like, just thank the basketball gods that you made it to game. Where are we at? 69. You made it to game 69. And aside from Jaylen Brown now, because we're not sure what's going on there, you're pretty intact. And there's a lot of teams around the NBA that can't say that, and that things went differently for them this year. The Celtics, all things considered, I would say it was a pretty healthy season overall for them. Guys in and out of the lineup, they were able to overcome it. Figure out what the hell's wrong with Jaylen Brown. Hope to God that he can come back to 80%. I don't know if that means he has to sit these games or if he can play them or whatever. Nobody will ever know that. But I want them to go very light over the next few games. I don't think that's a hot take. They don't mean anything. The Celtics can't go anywhere. It can only get worse for the Celtics. It can't really get better by playing the players. Everybody at this point in the season, you know who you are. You know who your teammates are. You know how to play with them. You know what you're capable of. You know what they're capable of. I think the Celtics are actually playing the best basketball of the season over the last month. I mean, before this Jaylen Brown fiasco, they were clicking on all cylinders. So I like where the team is at. I don't need to see anything else. I don't. That's it.
I mean, like I said, if I say certain people shouldn't play, people will get upset. So we'll just leave it there. But Jalen's playing tomorrow. I hope everyone's happy. I hope you're happy. I want to go back a little bit on what Joe said about the Brown
I think
thing.
at this point we know he is. Yeah.
We know he is. I want to go back on what Joe said. It's an interesting situation that he's in, right? Because I guess he's following Jalen's lead here on how do you feel, and he's just telling them here. But that comment, I mean, we just got what we needed to get out of him. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is it. I'll play this one back. I wanted to play this one. This is Joe on Jalen.
I mean, we just got what we needed to get.
Sorry, I got to remove one thing to.
I mean, we just got what we needed to get out of him as he continues to push himself and test himself, and we still got games left, and so it was just we got what we needed to get, what we needed to see, and we just continue to move forward.
So, what does that mean? We got what we needed to get. Are we still kind of in an experimental phase? This is speculating, by the way. We're speculating now what Joe means. What do we think there? Amit, make a speculation warning, okay? For the show so we can run it. He's in a weird spot here, right? Because he sees it too.
The truth is, you don't need.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you're about to say something. The truth is, you don't need what?
The truth is, you don't need to see anything really out of these guys, these starters. I mean, if you want to see something out of Shireman, if you want to see something out of the fringe guys, then fine. But you can see everything you need to see out of these guys in practice at this point. If you're looking to see if Jaylen Brown looks like he's healthy and ready to go, just go practice, go play 1-on-1 or 3-on-3 with the guys. Like, you're not. I think maybe the Knicks tonight is one legitimate reason. It's the opponent. If you wanted to see certain players against matchups against a team that you might see in the second round, that I could understand. If you wanted to do that, if you're Joe Mazzulla playing matchups here, this is a team that you might see in the second round. How is this guy going to defend our guy and vice versa? Fine. But moving forward, the next 3 games, who cares? I don't think there's anything left that you need to see. This game tonight clearly meant something. It was a very hard-fought game. I thought both teams were just trying to see what each other was made of, and the Celtics came out on top. So it was a fun game to watch, and I'm glad that both teams, tried to win it. But as far as Jaylen Brown goes, I don't know what they're trying to see anymore. I just that's what I don't understand. I have a feeling Joe Mazzulla doesn't really need to see anything. I think he's just trying to answer the question with as little information as possible, because he probably doesn't really have a good answer for why Jaylen Brown's still playing, or an answer that people are going to like anyways.
No, I mean, it's clear as day that Jaylen isn't himself, and none of us have a true sense of when he, if at all, is going to be that player. So you make do with what you got. But I don't like the fact that, he's out there basically playing enough minutes to qualify. I mean, I think Joe Mazzulla has very short-term goals for Jaylen. Get out there, don't get hurt. That when Joe said, we got out of him what we wanted, maybe that's all he wanted. Just get out there, practice sweat, come back, don't get hurt. Not liking this though. Not liking.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for the Jokic trade rumors. Yeah, that's going to be good.
Well, Denver doesn't have
a good player. He's a good
Denver
player.
Denver doesn't have a GM.
No. Yeah, go in and get him quick, stealthy like.
No one will see that coming.
I don't know.
You won't even miss him when he's gone.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. We just gotta.
I don't know either.
We just gotta. Something's gotta change.
We're all limping to the finish line here.
It's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. The chat was also talking about the 741s did it. And that's why Pritchard won't wear them. Jalen's shoes
Oh, really?
messed him up. They messed him up. Yeah.
So Pritchard went to Converse? Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out for you, bud.
Yeah. I don't think so.
2025, not sure about that.
Yeah. The old
1995 might have been good. That might have worked for you, 95.
Yeah.
Let's put this in here. We're putting this up here. Jason, Fitchburg boy. Love watching your show. Oh, my boy and I love watching the show. He says, Boston
Family
guys
fair.
just chopping it up. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That's
Jason.
right. We're chopping it up.
Thanks, Jason.
Well, Boston guys and a Detroit guy. We actually got New Hampshire, Boston, and
Yeah, kid.
Detroit in the house.
Live free or die, kid.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a little Watertown / Newton over here. You got Peabody and Bobby. Noah from Brookline.
North Shore.
North Shore. We got it covered.
Noah's from Brookline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That explains a lot, actually.
Brookline. There's no trick-or-treating allowed in all of Brookline. And no street parking. No street parking and no overnight street parking and no Halloween candy, apparently.
No plastic bottles.
No plastic bottles. Yeah. Yes, I will. I will apologize. No, we can't take gifts. That wouldn't be right here. Guys, other observations for tonight. Again, we're winding it down. We're in the nitty-gritty. Bobby's dying to do first-round playoff matchups. I won't let him do that. I don't know that people care, but I'll ask the chat right now.
We might have to.
Care? Does anybody care if the Celtics play one team versus another in the first round right now? Bobby's obsessed with it.
No,
Why?
I looked at the plans today.
It's looking to be Orlando.
He has a beautiful mind. That's why.
He does. No Worcester. No Worcester.
It's looking to be Orlando.
Where in New Hampshire you're from, Jimmy?
I mean, I don't know how you can say I don't know how you can say it's looking to be when there's a play in. Like these teams still have to win and stuff too.
Yeah.
So we would just be guessing. I mean, Orlando's I think Orlando is clearly the best team out of the bunch.
I love
be
this.
The hardest matchup, but
I asked the chat if they wanted to. Nobody answered. It's like, oh my God, stop talking about JB. Hey guys, what do you want to talk about? Crickets. Nothing. Nothing. You got nothing here. Nobody?
There's no fire.
You guys got to come on. Bring the fire. No, bring the fire. I'll circle back to it because I am, again,
Magic
I do
Hawks,
that
Bulls, Heat.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There's no fire. I thought better of Orlando to start the season. They went in a legitimate tailspin. They could be a pain in the ass.
They just can't score at all. They suck.
No, they can't.
Offensively. It's hard. I mean, it's defense obviously can get it done in the playoffs, but you got to get buckets. You got to have at least one or two guys that can get you some steady stream of buckets, and they have no one. No one is scoring other than Powell, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder what how Bobby feels about the Luke playing over Porzingis after a game like this. This is an interesting one. This isn't to knock Luke. I think this was a bit of a reality check. Luke battled his ass off tonight. It was just hard. It's harder against real centers. I do think, I'm not going to say fool's gold with Luke, but I do think he's been feasting on teams that haven't had a fixed big, and the Celtics have gone double big on some of those days and overwhelmed people with their size. So he's been killing it on the boards. It's rough sailing. Luke was getting like knocked around tonight.
Mitchell Robinson was kicking his ass. Cat was kicking his ass.
Yeah, there's some beef down there.
But I will say this though, Luke didn't shrink in a moment. I mean, he was out there.
No, Luke,
but he hung in there.
Luke, you hung in there, buddy. No question about it. But it was tough. Like the minutes were still earned, and he was a net positive, just not like dominant Luke like we've been seeing. Like he was just, it was hard. It was a tough one. Yeah, I mean, you needed the KP stuff. you needed the KP stuff to generate the offense tonight.
Yeah, you don't win this game without KP having one of the best games he's had all season. You're just not going to get it done. So
yeah, you're not going to get it done. We have mentioned the Celtics did sweep the regular season series with the Knicks. Right now, these two would be locked in a 2-3 battle for the in that second round, assuming both advance. We're going to head out to New York, and I think we're going to find our pal Bobby Manning out there asking totally relevant questions of Joe Mazzulla, who's not in any sort of mood to answer. But Bobby's question was a good one in the sense of we've talked about this all year long. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, you got me.
We got
What's
you.
up, Bobby?
What's up, Bobby?
So first off, general thoughts on the win. I know you just got out of Joe. I'm not sure if you got any other post-game insights from the locker room or anybody that you wanted to share or just get right into the game.
Yeah, I think this one's more about the game than anything we heard after. You expected a bigger shot from the Knicks, and you got that. You expected a big Towns game at some point in this matchup, and you got that. And you still come away with a win pretty convincingly in this one with the late game execution, with the overtime efforts, shorthanded without Brown there down the stretch. So all in all, you feel what we've felt, I think, for a lot of this season, which is the Celtics have the Knicks number. This probably would be a pretty dominant series for Boston if it comes to that. And I just keep going back to the coaching thing, and I'm sure that's what a lot of the Knicks fans will talk about here is Joe's just all over the Knicks and Thibodeau and everything that they're doing out there, the 3-point margin that they're able to build in this game. I feel like they lured Towns into a lot of the shots that he took inside and limited their ability to shoot threes. We've seen them do that at different points against opponents, and everything just game plan wise to me just completely tilted in the Celtics direction. This one, lineups, some of the challenges. This is a close game, but a lot of it was that slow shooting start Boston had, and then a bizarre collapse by the Celtics, no doubt. Kind of reminded me of that game against the Heat last week, where it was just a very strange sequence of events that led to the Knicks almost stealing this game late. But Tatum with an awesome shot, created a ton of separation on a play where the Knicks knew you were going to be going for three. And he continues to be great in those moments as well. So some Jalen concerns out of this one. I know you guys heard Joe give not much of an answer on him. I think we know where this is at this point. Is he's just playing what he needs to reach the All-NBA, and we'll see what his status is going into the first round, because clearly he's not super healthy right now.
He's not, but we're not going to talk about that on this show, Bobby.
We've done
we're not. We're gonna.
Sure.
Yeah, and we're not going to spend the middle 30 minutes of the show on it. Because we did. No, Bobby, look, it's the only story right now. He's he either miraculously gets better, or you're dealing with like a vastly reduced Jaylen Brown, and that's you gotta learn to win with this. Not saying it's not possible, just gonna be different.
Yeah, and I asked Tatum about that, how difficult that is. We remember him going through the game 7 against Miami, and that's almost what this feels like right now, is him just battling through something that's severely limiting him. And it's not pretty. It's not easy, Tatum said, and they're all going to have to pick him up. And this is the question I've had about this from the start, John, is are they going to do something like this in a playoff game? Like, he doesn't have it. He's limited. 20 minutes, boom, you're out. And other guys are going to finish the game, Horford or whoever else that might be. Doesn't seem like they have any problem doing it right now, but in a playoff game, that's going to be a lot more difficult of a decision. And Jalen's obviously going to want to be out there in those circumstances. So like, my concern meter's gone from like a 4 to a 6, John. It's definitely tilting upwards here.
I'm way past a 6. Like,
should we do it? Hit it.
What?
Hit
it, John.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
You know.
Oh my God, where are we on the panic meter? I am.
Are you off it?
Huh?
I'm
off it.
You're off it.
I'm off. I'm all the way back around.
It's just like doing this. It's just
back where you belong.
Like a 360.
Yeah.
I've been so mellow for 2 years on my concern level over the Celtics. My concern is just simply based off it looks better. Doesn't mean, I mean, Doesn't mean you can't win. You can't win games or win series. It's just if you knew it was like, wouldn't you feel better? How about this scenario? Let's do the Kemba clean tear scenario, but with a different set of variables here. If you had your pick, right, of Jaylen Brown is going to miss the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, or you're going to just roll the dice with what you have now. But you knew after missing 2 rounds, he'd come back rusty, but healthy. Wouldn't you take that?
Yeah. And that might be what they have to do.
But if you had to do that, he shouldn't have been playing for the last 2 weeks. That's the point, is if you'd made a determination of we're sitting him for a month and then we're going to look at it, and that would have counted the last 2 weeks of the season and the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, and then reassess round by round, I'd feel better thinking when he comes back, he's going to be fine. I'd feel way better about that than you got to somehow beat Cleveland and OKC with Jaylen at 50%. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. And that would really send people in a frenzy if that's where this goes, him having to miss some playoff time here. And I don't think that's where this is going to go just based off what we know with the injury. But you are getting to a point here, John, where it just feels unnecessary, especially because, and you brought this up a couple shows ago, Jimmy, he's not going to make the team. He's just not.
I don't even care about all this. Like I said, I don't care about all NBA.
Dog.
So, John, if that's not a thing, he should be out the next 3 games.
But like I said, I'm done debating this because it's been decided. He's playing through this. And Noah said it on the last show. The ship probably sailed to have shut him down long enough to make a difference. But I do wonder, like I said, I'd throw the scenario out of I would have sacrificed 2 rounds of the playoffs if you thought what was going to come out the other side would be better. Anyway, we're going to move off JB for a little bit. I wanted to hear Kristaps Porzingis had a monster game in his return to MSG. All smiles, stitches on his nose. Whatever illness kept him out of the last game or put him on the injury report didn't really appear to be a thing. There was a faint concern that, oh, goodness, he doesn't have a recurrence or, rebound COVID or whatever we were trying to say that he has or doesn't have. Of the respiratory infection that he had that knocked him out for so many games, 10 games. He was great. And here's KP, I'm sure, full of laughter, smiles, and cheer to put us all in a better mood.
Without thinking, and it was a good night.
Can you take us through what ended up being the game winner?
Say again?
In overtime, that long 3.
Yeah.
On the assist.
Yeah. I mean, they were not trying to switch kind of throughout the game, but they were doing like late switch and just created a little bit of separation from Brunson. And it was a pretty deep one. And just let it fly without conscious, and we're just making plays for each other down the stretch. JT, had some big plays to keep that lead that we built, and then they made a little run, and I'm happy the way we responded and came out with a win.
Steph, one you took from the logo, I think you were on the K on the logo. There was 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Did you think about stepping in a little bit, or were you just like, you know what?
I don't know. Just the ball rolled to me. I said, "This is destiny." Let's just picked it up and just let it fly. Honestly, without thinking too much.
That's pretty funny.
And those are the best kind of nights. You just playing.
It was
free
funny. He's like,
"Oh,
a ball."
Shots are going in.
You take your average 3-point shot distance is like among the longest in the league. Why do you shoot from so far behind?
I don't know, but there's like a correlation between me shooting, because I've tried to see if my efficiency goes up the closer I am to the 3-point line, but it really doesn't. And I don't know why. I'm just comfortable shooting a little bit out, and it also helps our offense, just stretching the defense out even more. And so it's kind of if my efficiency doesn't change, then I just take those deeper ones, and I don't know, it's maybe a little bit more comfort just knowing it's even the guy's not gonna be able to get there at all for a decent contest, and just taking my time and just letting it fly.
When did you take a look at the stats of that?
Maybe after Washington, before Boston. Yeah, I was kind of with my friend Zannis, who works me out in the summers. We were looking at it, and
Janos.
He wanted me to shoot
It's me,
closer, and I
Janos.
did that throughout the summer.
Janos. I
But
helped
then as the
KP.
season started again, I kind of reverted back to my old habits and just started shooting further out. And I did shoot a little bit closer, but then we checked the efficiency was the same. So he was just, we just agreed that I'll just do me and shoot them wherever I feel comfortable.
Estes, how many stitches in the nose?
4 stitches.
And what was that like? I mean, you loved it. You walked off the floor bloody, and everybody went nuts, and you played to that. But just kind of finishing the season strong, doing this here, the place that you've received your share of boos. I mean, just kind of the last week has been, seemed like pretty enjoyable for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, you already know how much I love playing in front of our crowd, and then having those interactions with the crowd. That was just a perfect moment. All my teammates already know I'm a big UFC fan, and me getting hit was kind of just fit that moment, and me just walking off and feeding it to the crowd was a fun moment. And honestly, playing here, it's always very fun. Here, the fans are super into the game, and they love the Knicks, and I enjoy playing here as home player, and now also on the road. So it's been fun, and especially now finishing the season strong, regular season, and then preparing ourselves for what's coming.
How do you kind of react to just Jalen toughing it out through his knee injury and everything?
Yeah, he's a tough dude. He always preaches, his warrior mindset, and he lives by it, But to what extent we need that right now, maybe he needs to take care of it and make sure he's for the most important moments. So, I think we just have to encourage him to make sure he does everything he needs to prepare. To get it healthy and to prepare for what's going to come. And I think
what I miss.
Maybe you don't need to be a warrior.
He just shows.
He was just like, I don't know why
Jalen's
playing
for games that maybe don't mean super much for us right now.
Oops.
But that's who he is, and we appreciate him for that.
Based on your reaction, I assume you could tell pretty quickly that it was just a cut, not a broken nose or anything like that when you did take the elbow to the face.
Yeah, I think I maybe touched it a little bit at first because when I was in Dallas, playing in Dallas, I got hit, so it actually broke one way. And you can still kind of see it's not perfectly straight. So I got hit on this side. I was hoping maybe it will go back and be straight again, but I don't think it moved. So, but my breathing's okay. So I think I'll just leave it like this for now, and maybe I'll get it fixed after I'm done playing.
And after the things you've dealt with this season, just how are you feeling physically coming into the playoffs here?
Yeah, feeling decent. Honestly, I'm still a little bit up and down since I recovered from this stuff. So my energy is not perfect, and everybody knows, but yeah, I'm playing through it, and I think if we get a few days off, we'll be perfect. We'll be perfect. Just rejuvenate the body, and yeah, I'll be ready to go.
So there we go, Joe Mazzulla. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis can't lie.
Up in there, yeah.
Kristaps Porzingis cannot tell a lie. Why is he playing?
Cannot tell a lie.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he shouldn't be. Oh my God. Love it. Love the honesty. Let's get Noah's analysis on this game and thoughts. Noah, what stood out to you tonight?
Just good to see them play. Do you guys hear an echo?
Nope.
I think you're good.
Okay. Just good to see them play in a close game because I think it honestly has been a while. And I feel like if you're going to play your 6 guys, you may as well get something out of it. And I felt like tonight they did. They had to execute down the stretch. Encourage. I just remember the Celtics teams of years past, even last year at this time. I think the big question was, how are they down the stretch? Can they execute in crunch time? Like that was the big discussion, right? And here we are a year later, and I don't think anybody feels that fear about them anymore. Like, I think there's a lot of confidence in their ability to close out these games. And it doesn't mean they're going to win every close game, obviously. But tonight, is they were kind of hanging in there. They didn't play their best game and couldn't really shoot well in the first half. And down the stretch, I think they showed a level of poise and shot making. And JT and Kristaps obviously were the 2 big ones. But that was my biggest takeaway. And obviously, it's good to see that everybody was available and that Kristaps is fine. I was like a little worried about his illness. Like, I didn't know if it was like came back or something, but he's obviously fine and he went through shoot around and had a great game. So generally encouraged. Yeah, obviously Jalen didn't look good tonight. I'm sure you guys talked about that quite a bit, but that was my biggest takeaway. I think just the fact that just a reminder of how poised they look in these situations.
It was also probably the last chance for the starters to get to play together. And Noah and I were talking about that a little bit. We've been talking about that for most of this year, how weird it's been that they were net negative for pretty much all year. And they got back to a +0 in this one. They're exactly 0 to end the year, which, given where they were, is actually pretty good. So I asked a couple of them about that tonight, and they seemed to think that was just some bad shooting in January and the weird stretch that they had when Kristaps came back, and they've steadily climbed since. So, we were wondering, is that going to stay the lineup? Could they go to Horford? And the Horford lineup still has much better net rating and all that, but it does seem like it was just some weird shooting stuff that had that group. Again, like -7 at one point. I think they were down like -11 at another point. Like they were pretty far negative with that group out there. And tonight was probably the last time we're going to see them before the playoffs. And everybody across the board pretty much said, we've played enough together. We know what we need to do playing together with that group. So that's another thing I feel like they finally put in the books in this game, Jimmy.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like Joe Mazzulla cared much for that question, Bobby. I know you were waiting to ask it too, but he said he hasn't thought about it for a second. Is that what he said?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure. It's more important things to think about.
It's honestly the biggest bullshit answer of Joe of the season. You're not thinking about the fact that your starters have been
negative.
Your starting unit has been a negative all season long. Like
maybe
you're entering the playoffs here. He's obviously thought about it, but he's not going to give you the win after the last round, Bobby.
I wasn't going to win tonight.
Where you brought the receipts. Joe's not giving you a win. Sorry,
the number.
You're back on the losing streak.
Yeah, you needed the numbers.
I had the number, I would have got him. Yeah,
he was shuffling his papers. He was ready to drop something on you if you came with a follow-up. He was not happy at all.
Returning.
You know what I love? I love the Bobby Manning squint that Joe gets in. You ask the question. He's
Boeheim used to give me that too.
Yeah, it's like, what does that tell you?
They're ready for something they're not going to like.
That's good. That's a good thing. Yeah. That's a good thing. No, because we've already done it. I don't want to belabor it from our takes, but again, another night where you watch Jalen look the way he looked. Does it change anything in terms of your thinking on what's going on with him right now? And again, I don't want to get into the should he be playing, should he not be playing situation, but when you see it again at this level, and meaning like the lowest level we've probably seen him at, as he's tried to tough it out here, you have comments from both Joe Mazzulla and Kristaps Porzingis saying, like Joe saying he's just trying to figure out how to do this, and Porzingis saying I don't know what he's doing, why he's out there. Maybe he doesn't need it. He should take care of himself. Is it changing your thinking at all, just in terms of either whether the approach is worthwhile or whether we're going to be seeing a version of Jaylen Brown that's similar to this for a while? Because again, I'm not sure what we're hoping for at this point. I know they talked about some sort of treatment as they approach the playoffs, and maybe that's something that does sweep some of the pain away. But this was a rough one. I think this was hard to watch. And then the very fact that he didn't play the last 19 minutes of the game and through overtime in a tight ball game definitely doesn't bode well. So it was a tough one.
What's this speculation or observation thing? I'm lost.
People didn't
John
like
went
that.
Off.
I went off a little bit. It doesn't matter. It's next year's bracket.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to rewatch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this changes my thinking. I mean, obviously he didn't look good, and he looked like he was in pain, and he obviously didn't play in the fourth quarter overtime. And the biggest thing for me has been his defense. I think just I'm watching him defensively, and he's a negative defender, and he needs to be a big positive defender in the postseason. I don't know if he's just load managing his defense, or if it's just this is the reality of like what he can give them right now. So I guess I don't know. I honestly, like, I was probably the first person here in our group here to express concern about Jalen's knee, like, way early on, because I know how pivotal he is. I know how important knees are, and I know how important knees are to guys like him that are so athletic and explosive, and that's kind of like what his game is. So I want to be clear, like, I don't think this injury is like not something to worry about. And again, John, I agree. I think just the discussion around like whether he should or shouldn't be playing, like, I don't know. KP saying that today made me think, like, if KP saying that, like, he knows him pretty well. He's in the mix. He probably knows more about the medicals and the behind the scenes things than we do. And it gives you the feeling like he should probably be sitting a little bit more. But I think people are kind of deferring to him, and that's just the person and the player that he is, and whether or not they, just
I
the same
know.
way that, like he might be hurting himself. Who knows? Like I don't
know.
Right?
I thought that was a little telling tonight that both guys are kind of like, I don't know. It's just what he's doing. He's toughing it out for some reason, but we're not quite sure what that reason is. And
John, we know why it is.
I know. And there's there's a big 65
when are we gonna say it?
Flashing
Sunday?
in the background.
Yeah,
I know. So it's now it's obnoxious. I like I said, I would have preferred the transparency. Like, yeah, I want to play the 65. I'm not hurting myself worse. I'm going for it. Leave me alone. And then everyone could stop the speculation. But you got the player. Both Mazzulla and Porzingis kind of like hemming and hawing over it was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and we're gonna find out this weekend, right? I have to imagine he won't play tomorrow back to back, and it will.
He's definitely gonna play tomorrow
if he does. I mean, if he gets to 66 and just blows right through the whole way, I don't even know what to say at that point. But
he's definitely.
Like Noah said,
it's gonna have a conniption.
Yeah, it's just hard to say anything about it because we're watching it. Doesn't seem right. Doesn't feel right. There's so many situations we've seen so far where he's been out of crunch time or out of the fourth quarter. So it feels like they're trying to keep him out of like the late stages of these games because you could be setting up these minutes for him to be available for a crunch time. And he was at 21 when there was 3 minutes left. They go to a timeout and I'm like, all right, maybe they'll let him run these 3 minutes right here. And they didn't. And maybe that's just based on how he looks. I asked Joe, is that something he told you? They've been communicating. Did he say he couldn't go late there? And I didn't really get an answer on that either. So it's definitely I went from a 4 to a 6 now. I said it before we got on here on the panic meter, and that could rise even further over the next handful of days here. Because if this is what it's going to be in the playoffs, that's extremely disruptive. If what we're watching right now is what it's going to be in the playoffs, and I know he's talked about treatment and feeling better and all that, but all we have to go off of is what we've seen so far, and that's just a couple games where he's looked like himself, and a handful where he's been extremely limited.
So wait,
disrupts them.
Are you speculating what he's going to be in the playoffs?
I'm just going.
We just want to make sure everyone's ready for this. Okay, go ahead.
Wait, I was.
Yeah. Just warning everyone. That's all.
Just warning everybody.
I'm having too many technical difficulties on a nightly basis for you guys to pretend technical difficulties all the time. I just lose all my.
No, we're just warning. That's all.
We're just a speculation warning.
People in the chat. It's like trigger warning, kind of.
It's a trigger warning. It's a speculation warning.
They don't
Bobby.
They don't like speculates.
It's all right.
I don't want any speculation.
They don't want speculation. Why are they here?
Because it might be hurtful.
It's hurtful. It's hurtful. Anyway,
don't say anything negative. We need a negativity warning too.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for that graphic. You're right. I've been just people triggered by the speculation. I've been stalling. This show would have ended. Here if I was like, Amit, make the graphic. So Amit's quick with it. Before we get into it, we might as well congratulate our boy at this point. I've been holding out long enough, but you guys know what happened. You were here, you voted. No secret. It's no secret. It isn't. The Garden Report.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken, and dun 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 dun. The champ is damn it, Amit.
Damn it, Amit.
Takes out you're muted. Damn
Whoever
it,
said it, I think Jimmy said it. What
Jimmy
we
has
hear
both
most
of those
often,
things. Yeah.
What we hear. Oh yeah, and congrats to Jimmy who says these two things.
Last week was all Bobby. It was Luke's. It was like third center versus Lemon Squares, I think was the final. It was an all Luke final.
Yeah.
This year's a little bit spread
early
out.
this year. Although he is going to get 20 million.
Amit, yeah, we're not sure if Amit had anything to do with the results, to be completely honest. He does control the buttons back there. But I think it was a worthy winner. Damn it, Amit has been, unfortunately, it's been said too many times on this show, Amit. It's not a good thing. Amit! It means the music isn't running the way it's supposed to be, or that something has been screwed up. So somehow he benefited from that. You're muted. You're muted was my other favorite. I love You're Muted. I kind of want to make You're Muted t-shirts, to be completely honest.
Who's the favorite for next year? Now they put out the lines the next day.
Yeah. Oh, well, next year? No. Let's get through this year, Bobby. Let's get through this year.
Yeah.
Could be
anyway.
Speculation.
Yeah, congratulations. Damn it, Amit. It's another bracket in the books. Thank you guys all for voting and for being fun and making suggestions and making these Garden Report
Congrats to Florida
into a real thing that we talk about and that you guys share and you bring back on the show and all of the callbacks. It's a ton of fun. So we do appreciate all of that stuff. Damn it, Jalen. Damn it, Jalen. So yeah, I don't know. Noah, I alluded to this when you walked in, when you were about to join, that you had said last show that if Jalen, you missed it, past the point of no return, the time to have rested Jalen was a month ago or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
If and this was a hypothetical I put out there to these guys, Noah, right now, if you could rest Jaylen Brown for 2 rounds and then reassess what he felt like after that with the possibility that he would come back closer to 100% physically, would you think that that's worth it?
If it is the medical prognosis here is that they might be in a better situation.
Let's say that they felt that, like, you couldn't buy the time to get to the start of the playoffs by the time you realized that this was an issue, even though I think you could have probably bought 2 or 3 weeks here. But if you could buy time right now, knowing that coming back, all right, he'll miss 2 rounds, but then when he comes back, he's going to be closer to 80 or 90%, versus whatever it is that we're seeing now. And I don't know what kind of percentage you want to place on it. Would that be worth the roll of the dice for you?
I don't know. I guess. I mean, I guess if people think he would be better, like, again, this is weird because it's still an injury that we don't really understand, and I'm sure that he does, and that's why KP's words like have an impact on my perception, because I do think Porzingis probably knows the basics of what he's dealing with, and we don't know anything. I mean, we literally got 1 email last month, and that's it. Like, we have gotten 0 information since then, and so. I guess. I mean, I think they have more than enough to get by without him in the first few rounds. But again, like this commenter here, like if that's the case and that's what he needs, then obviously like that was the time to rest him, not the playoffs, right? And just to be clear, John, like
it would be madness, right? It would be madness.
Just to be clear, why I said that wasn't saying that the ship has sailed, like they should have rested him and they didn't, or like that's my conclusion. It's more the fact of the matter is that I interpreted him not resting as that not being the message to him. Like my assumption is that if the message to him was that a month of rest would do a big service to him, then he would have done it. That was what I was kind of getting at. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they told him, Jalen, sit 6 weeks, and he was like, no. But my assumption is that was not the message to him. Therefore, I don't really care if he played or not, right? Because in that case, it's like give or take. So again,
I know,
assumption warning.
But
this is not an assumption. But I was telling Bobby today, the Netflix documentary goes behind the scenes because he's been having a camera crew following him all year because he's in starting 5 next year. So I look forward to eventually watching.
Is that what this is about?
No, but I look forward to eventually watching his season from that perspective too, of just like what the knee injury process was like behind the scenes and what the discussions actually were, because we don't actually know.
Yeah. What's the opposite of looking forward to?
Yeah.
Dreading.
I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, if it derails the postseason run, I think everyone's going to be thrilled.
People are
He did it
nuts.
for the doc.
People are nuts.
He didn't do it for the
people
doc.
are legitimately. People are absolutely have lost their minds right now over this thing. It's like go back in history of every single loss any of your favorite teams has ever had, and everyone will point to McHale broke his foot. Perk didn't play Game 7. What if KG didn't get hurt? Everybody does. Larry Bird broke his hand in a bar fight. Every loss is tied to an injury that made you less of who you were without the injury. Every loss is tied to it. All of them. And some people are like, they could be fine. Like, it's bad. It's bad. Let's just live with knowing that it's bad and hope that the rest of the parts are good enough to win. Okay? Jeez, come on.
Oh, 2 points, John.
Yeah.
As convoluted as it sounds, what's happened to this point has happened. So if they do go through next week and say, oh, he's going to be severely limited and it's going to be 20 minutes and it's just going to mess up the rotations right now, and there might be some benefit to resting him for some amount of time in the playoffs, I mean, everyone will freak the F out.
Tatum Game 7 Miami, yeah.
If that's what it takes to get him a little more ready to go, feeling a little bit better, maybe into round 2, or I do even think you could get through a round 2 without him, John. I do think it would be worth it. And now I have no idea if that's even on the table, and I doubt it.
How could that be on the table? Not to cut you off, Bobby, but wouldn't they be doing that right now?
Yeah, it's not.
Well, here's the question, John.
It would be lunacy to sit him 2 rounds of them. He gets to 65 and then he rests for
here's the question, John.
There would be somebody would be fired.
People would revolt.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they wouldn't welcome him back if that were the case. So no,
that wouldn't be, because that would mean that something got worse. That would mean that something happened. You got new information.
Well,
like,
how does things get worse?
Because we don't know what the injury is. Like, if it was a bone
It's
bruise,
a knee.
then but a knee could be like 100 different things. I've been reading, I'm on Reddit reading bone bruise complications, alternatives to bone bruises that aren't bone bruises. People tore their meniscus. Like, there's a million things this could be, and they have the information and we don't. And that's the reality of the way injuries are reported in the NBA, and it's a lot better than other leagues.
But Noah,
would you say that what's wrong?
Would you say that probably one of the constants in recovery is like rest, or like the Rice theory? Like, regardless of what it is, torn whatever or bruised whatever, they'd probably say, stay off it.
Yeah, I think with where we're at now, there's no doubt that he should have rested.
I'm not yelling
previously.
at you. I'm not yelling at you.
No, it's not you. I just can't believe we're talking about Jalen's knee, and there's no end to come. It's going to be every show for the rest of my life.
It's going to literally be the story of the playoffs. It's unavoidable.
Fine, let's talk Pritchard.
The finals MVP. The finals MVP.
Where's Shireman when we need him?
Yeah, we didn't even get Shireman tonight.
I'm taking time off for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Are there like bone bruise groups on Reddit?
Just be happy that the Celtics pulled this one off, or we'd be doing 20-minute blame pie right now, and it'd be a lot more Jalen talk.
Oh,
well, here's something we do know. Here's something we do know for a fact. He's playing less right now. And is that because these games don't matter? Is that because he's feeling worse late in these games and can't go? He didn't look good against Washington. He looked worse tonight. So all we know is what we see and the minute total. And the minute total is going down. He was playing 29-30 previously. He's down to like 20 at this point. Can he go tomorrow?
This is the correct take. That's it. Just live with it. Everybody live with it. That's what we got. Here's the thing, though.
Hurt.
We don't know.
Why don't you read it? You got to read it out loud to the people who
we don't know if he's not hurting you. He's hurt from Judah, but he's not losing us games. Not yet. Against better competition, that's a question. Tonight he was a net negative. The problem is his value.
You have to play
over
40
replacement.
minutes in the playoffs.
Yeah. You have to play more, and value over replacement is still very high for him because you just don't have that next guy up who can eat their minutes. I mean, you can go. Well, you'd go double big and more 3 guard, and you would just squeeze them out. And that's what you would do. And there was a time they had Pritchard, Holiday, and White out there when they went single big at one point in the fourth quarter, and then they went back to double big. So that's what you're going to have to lean into. And obviously when you have Horford and there's no back-to-backs in the playoffs, you're going to play a lot of Horford Porzingis together. But I actually question whether or not there won't be times where you're wondering, is this helping us or hurting us right now? So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think tonight was the most glaring example that something is off. Because if you look at the trends, yeah, he's now playing under 30 minutes.
The nadir, if you will, Jimmy.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The last 7 or 8 games, he's played less than 30 minutes, which is obviously not normal. But tonight was like when they took him out and he didn't go back in, that's when you kind of knew that, okay, there's obviously something, worse here than in previous performances or previous games. Like, again, I'll go back to Phoenix. We were on the show and saying, well, if he's playing like this, then sure, why not go out there, get your 65 games, do your thing, everything seems fine. But then you look at tonight's game and they basically had to pull him from the game. So, Bobby, you're muted.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that's what I said. I'm going to have to maybe take that one back.
You're muted. Still time to go.
I think there was one moment where it really hit for me, just like how compromised he was. I don't know if you guys talked about any specific plays with him, but just him splitting the defense.
Yeah.
4 of them. Wow. Some film breakdowns tonight.
Not dunking. Is that the one you were going to go?
Yeah. And not just the not dunking, but even the layup lacked explosion. And then when he came down off of barely getting off the ground, he was kind of wincing. And it's things like that it is kind of hard to ignore. And it is kind of it's so unusual. I genuinely cannot recall a time where I've seen an NBA player in the regular season play through pain. And that's why it's so hard to ignore this as a storyline, as not fun as it is to rehash every night. But it is kind of such a unique situation.
Yeah.
John's right. And it just could become such a big deal. It could become
every game you're going to be wondering. It's almost like a starting fit, like Kurt Schilling with his bloody sock. Does he have it tonight, or is it a quick pull? He's going to be out there, and you're going to be like, is this the night you can get something from JB, or is this the night where it's not working? And it's going to be weird to not play him. So it's going to be if it's like this, you're going to have weird decisions to make.
And that's where it's going to be on Joe. In the playoffs, if he's hurting you, if he's not looking good, it can't just be, oh, he told me he wants to be out there, so I just let him run. It's going to be in his hands to some degree at that point, in a critical spot, in a playoff scenario, if going in another direction is going to help them. And that's what I'm most concerned about, is their ability to do that if they need to. I'm not worried about him going down. I'm not worried about him not being there, being terrible. I'm worried about, can they get away from him if he doesn't have it that night? And I do actually think Joe can get there, but we'll see.
I think he can. All right, let's move off this and to some other stuff. A couple quick things, and I want Noah and Bobby's thoughts here. Something that people are, always curious about is bench when it comes to the playoffs. And this was, we've joked about the myth of Mitchell Robinson, but this is the first time you've seen a full Knicks team. And defensively, I thought that they were competitive, and I don't think Mitchell Robinson was great or anything like that. But
that's a good point. Him being back here.
You had a full Knicks team, and they were definitely playing the Celtics hard. And I do think you had a bunch of KP bombs, and Tatum some very, very, very difficult contested shots that he made. Tip your hat to him. But the Celtics had to work for a lot of what they got. And they got timely threes when they needed them from Holiday and from White. In that third quarter to kind of build a lead, and then again in the fourth. But this was a bit of a challenge. But if you look at what the Celtics had, you didn't have Horford tonight, so I don't know that Cat has necessarily the game that he had. But you looked at Porzingis, Hauser, and Pritchard, all of whom didn't play poorly. They were very competitive, but didn't have an impact on this game in the same way that they've been impacting so many games recently. And it was almost that little taste of this is what it's like for bench units, when you get into these tight competitive games against better competition that's going to play tough and going to play physical. So what'd you guys see out of the 3 primary bench guys tonight?
Oh, it wasn't pretty. And they struggled to get quality shots.
They battled. Yeah.
Yeah. And, Tibbs said it before the game, and it's so true. This team's tough shot making is a differentiator. And when you look at the shots Porzingis hit down the stretch, some of the ones Tatum hit throughout the flow of this game, those were real separators in this one. But you didn't get a ton from the bench. You didn't get a good Cornet game, which stood right out to me after my my big interview with him this morning. And Pritchard,
jinx,
-10 in this one. You know, he was the biggest net negative of anybody in this game. And, you know, I keep asking you this, Noah, and I can't really lay a finger on it. The splits for Pritchard right now between, you know, less than stellar opponents and some of the top tier teams they might run into. And it wasn't the case early in the year, but I feel like in the second half, more and more, you started to see him struggle against some bad teams, maybe, or against some good teams. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I can't figure out why it would be. I think the biggest factor is against some of the bigger teams that have real rim protection presences. He can't get to the rim and is made more of a jump shooter, and that can lead to some erratic results. But this was another game for Pritchard where he just wasn't the version of him we've seen at times this year that's probably going to win Sixth Man of the Year.
Honestly, the biggest pattern that I've seen with Pritchard and his impact is not the competition. And I could do a deeper analysis than I have, but just from my initial looks, it's not the competition. It's how many guys are available. And they had a full lineup today, minus Al. And he has a hard time being that guy that just takes 5 shots. Like, he is a guy, I think he's built to have a larger role. And whether that's sustainable on a championship team, we can debate that all day. But he took 6 shots today. He made 3 of them. He was 3 for 3 beyond inside the arc. So it's not like he was a disaster on offense. He just had a more limited role. And that's the situation when you have everybody back. And Drew and Derek, you know, were more involved today, which is, I think it's so important. And those 2 guys are getting off shots, and they both finish in double figures, which you want to see. But this is going to be the reality for him, I think, in a lot of situations. I don't know that I'm reading too hard into the plus minus numbers. I can go back and think a little bit harder about that. Sometimes they don't necessarily capture the full story, but I didn't feel like he was a liability for them. I do think that Jalen Brunson's a guy he struggles with defensively. And sometimes it's those small guys that are tricky.
You muted, John.
Fuck. But it's those small guys that have a lot of the same tricks as him. Like, I always feel this way. It's when he faces versions of himself almost. Not that he's Jalen Brunson, but Jalen Brunson is a guy that he kind of knows the tricks that Pritchard knows and makes it a little harder. TJ McConnell is another guy like that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
he's crafty.
I will say, when he's out there with the starters, he doesn't get looks. And he's not out there with those guys much. But when he's out there with Tatum and, you know, not Brown tonight, but, you know, he closed with that group, he just doesn't get the ball. And it's tough because he's grown a lot as an off-ball player and trying to find ways to get involved in that role. But usually, I think it's a good point, Noah. He just ends up spaced out to the corner or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not where he's at his best.
We've talked about it before. Some of the most fun games to watch are the ones with 2 and 3 starters sit, because you get to see these other guys step into more prominent roles. And, you know, that's what you get out of Pritchard sometimes. But, I mean, he's had – fine, you had all the starters, but Horford, he's had plenty of good games coming off the bench as that offensive spark plug, driving that second unit and scoring a ton of points. He just wasn't able to do it necessarily tonight. And you know, Brunson is definitely a tough assignment, but it's that teeny little window of like, this felt playoff-y, you know, you had tight rotations, both sides, big minutes from the starters.
Game, yeah.
You know, this had the Knicks, this meant a lot to the Knicks and the Celtics. I think, as you guys said, this is probably the last time you're going to see the whole band together before the playoffs. They went for it, big minutes, and they went toe to toe with them. So, other stray observations from this game, guys, before we wrap?
Yeah, I'd go with the Robinson thing. I didn't think about it until he got out there on the floor, but that is a real difference in this matchup compared to the first 3. And if I'm sure all the Knicks fans will be talking about that, and they've talked my ear off about, when Robinson comes back, it's going to be different. And I did see the difference tonight. They have a Towns-Robinson lineup that looks pretty good in limited minutes. Again, Tibbs doesn't go there much, and I think that's a big lament they have with him. But to me, it's that. Could that be a difference in this series? And it's the coaching thing. I think when you look at this matchup, Joe just has such an edge on Tibbs right now in terms of the game plans and the way they're approaching offense and even some of the ways they're shifting lineups in and out and all that. I think that's going to be a major factor if this series does happen here. And this has just been dominance, Noah. And every single, it got to the point tonight where you just knew how this game was going to play out. The Knicks were going to be competitive. It was going to be there, for them the whole way. Once the Celtics start hitting their threes, they start to separate a little bit. And the collapse was really weird. White throwing the ball out of bounds. He doesn't do that in crunch time much. Tatum missing the free throw. There's a lot of weird stuff down the stretch in this game. But I'd chalk that up to just end of the year, not the level of focus in that moment that you would expect. And I still think the Celtics win this series at 5 if they're right.
You want me to go?
Don't say it, Jimmy. No.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm going to say my.
Oh, you have something.
I'm going to give you my last take.
I thought you were just going to fax my dog, Bobby. Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I know he's started going off on Mitchell Robinson and all that stuff. No, I'm going to.
That's the first thing. That's the first thing he said. And then he spoke for 5 more minutes, which means you just heard the first thing and then you shut it off.
He lost me. He lost me. He went.
Go ahead.
He did one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going back to the start where we mentioned Jason Tatum, and I don't think we said boo about him since. It was great to have Jason Tatum continue the tradition of Boston Celtics players going into Madison Square Garden and just giving the fans double middle fingers on the way out the door. 32 points. There you have it. 11 of 22 from the field. Couple of circus shots that are going to drive John crazy. That's like the cherry on top for me tonight, is knowing that he was screaming at the TV in anger as a couple of those shots went in. That just does it for me. So I was good to see Tatum.
They needed them.
I don't need to see Tatum the rest of the way. Sit him down, get him a 10 days off, whatever it is. I know he doesn't want that, and I'm sure it's not going to happen. But I've seen all I need to see. Go into the playoffs as healthy as you can be, and let's just be done with this regular season, please.
I am done with this regular season.
My final thought is I just want us to zooming out a little bit, because I think we were obviously these last few games, the big topic has been Jalen, and just down the stretch, these games don't matter too much. But there was really a moment where we thought that this team was going to reach, the 20 losses before the 40 wins. And what are they now? 59-20. Like, I just want to take a second to just acknowledge, this was a great regular season for them, and as good as you could have possibly hoped for coming off of a championship. They're going to hit 60 wins again. They could hit 62 wins if they win these next 3 games. And at the end of the day, a lot went wrong. Porzingis had, missed the first part of the season. Then he comes back. Nobody can shoot, as Derek White said today. Jalen's had a down year in a lot of ways. The injuries, everybody had their different things, and they still found a way to win a ton of basketball games, and especially on the road have just been historically great. And you just have to feel good about them going into the playoffs. It doesn't mean they're going to win the championship. Even the team with the highest odds has less than 50% chance to win, right? We know that it's going to be a tough road with 2 other really, really good teams in the NBA and plenty of wild cards, but just reflecting on how it's been, and especially on the road, I can't even remember. They've won 17 of 18 road games, and someone who's been on a lot of these road trips, I can't even fathom them losing anymore, because they just so consistently found ways to pull them off. So this was one of those games where I was like, are they going to have to lose tonight? And they just find ways. And that's kind of all. That's the most important thing. Jalen's knee is important too, but this is the most important thing, is that they haven't lost a step as far as winning.
They really are great when you think they're in a bad spot, and they just pull the offensive rebound. Tatum step back. They always do seem to pull something out of their behind when they need it. It is a big trait of this team.
Yeah, I would say to double down on that a little bit on what Noah said. Was it a great, hooray, great regular season? Celebrate that? No, I don't celebrate that, because you're here for one thing only. It's a championship, and anything you fall short.
It, to be clear.
No. Meaning, I don't do that part, but I agree 100%. This is a professional team that you have none of the concerns about them puking it away. If they lose, they lost because they got beat. It's not going to be, here they are doing Celtics things. Celtics things are good things now. Celtics things are executing. They're making big plays.
Remember 4 years ago?
Yeah, it's totally different than before. And I'm sorry, no, I didn't mean to make it sound like that. I'm saying the regular season, whether they finish with 55 wins or 65 wins, it's all fine and good in either thing. And you wouldn't have been shocked by either, especially if they, didn't win as many games because they had injuries, weird illnesses, stuff like that. So total testament to how good they are as a team. But you have faith in them. You have faith if things go right and break their way and they're as close to full health as possible, that they're going to win. They're at least going to emerge from the East, and then who knows what happens in the finals.
Tatum had a comment.
The Jalen thing is a massive wild card that throws the whole thing into a little bit of upheaval, because you just you have no idea what you're going to get there. So I don't want to speculate, but I agree that they've been just on it all year in the way that they've handled themselves and handled their business. Other teams might have struggled going through what they went through. They had tremendous health luck the year before. This year was all over the place. So, they were great.
Yeah. Tatum said at the end of his presser, like, not to quote him exactly, but like, we got this, we're going to figure this out when it comes to the starting lineup thing and playing together and all that. Like, we know what we need to do. And I feel like that's the way this team's walked through the late stages of this season, with rest, with guys in and out of the lineup, with whatever's gone on. They just keep winning. And there was a stretch there in January where I had some real concerns about this team, and it started to look pretty ugly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They got back on their feet in a big way. The coach handled it well, to give him some credit, and they're in a good place. There's probably 3 teams that can win the title, and they're one.
That's
of
it.
them. So.
Yeah. I mean, when the theoretical on is this team better than last year's, and I think Noah and I and maybe at least one other of you thought maybe they might be, because they coasted. Someone just put in the chat, they load managed their way to 60 wins this year. They really just they coasted, but they didn't look like they weren't. There were some games that they played 70% and they had that ugly stretch there. But when it turned to March and they tried to get a little bit more serious and they got a little healthier, or at least, minus the Jalen thing that, started to, rear its head around that time. They just turned it all around. They just put their foot down. So, you have to feel good about their mindset going in. Again, the Jalen thing, I think, is that wild card. We're never going to know where that goes. Once again, we want to say congratulations to Damn It Amit for taking down the 2025 bracket, beating You're Muted, emerging as a 3 seed to win this year. I think now in the 3 years of the bracket, we're looking at phenomenal third center. We took 1 year off. Phenomenal third center and Damn It Amit are the 3 winners. We look forward to coming up with some new stuff for next year. And we do, again, thank you guys for being part of this. Yeah.
Does Amit get credit for that one, or Jimmy? That's a tough call.
We're a team.
For which one?
Okay.
I hear it in Jimmy's voice. So.
Yeah.
But the Amit's in the name. So
if Amit didn't screw up so much,
right? I mean,
then Jimmy wouldn't say it. So
it's
Amit
a testament to Amit's inability to do his job, is what it is. So congrats to him.
If Amit had it, Amit whipped up a custom animation in like 6 minutes, and Jimmy's sitting here giving him shit.
Amit might be the most confident person I've ever met.
Yeah, Amit, while he's doing this show, half paying attention to a mixing animation, he's editing like 3 podcasts with his left hand.
But if the music doesn't roll, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. So anyway, there it is.
There it is.
This is This is fade up music. That Amit's adding stuff
like that. It's like the Oscars when they're trying to play you off.
Thank you guys for hanging on. What, Bobby? You got breaking news or something?
Bobby's gonna shout out.
I was just gonna say Noah lost the main Celtics, a couple of games ago, but they'll be back tomorrow playing for the Boston.
I hope so.
Celtics, no one's playing tomorrow.
Be on the lookout for my one-on-one with JD Davison dropping in the morning.
Ooh. I can't wait. Also, You Got Boston podcast is dropping overnight. You guys can check that out as well. Coming up later tonight from New York, Noah's going to be dropping pods all the way through the rest of the regular season here after games as well, because the Garden Report is child's play to her. She doesn't get to say what she actually wants to say, so she's going to go express herself on her own podcast. So make sure you subscribe and watch You Got Boston. I speculate it's going to be a better show than this one. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way? Let's slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke